The runway lights bled into a single silver ribbon as the wind clawed at the night. Luna Moore pressed a palm to the strap of her canvas tote and jogged under the awning, the last of her double shift still pulsing in her calves. She'd never been to Teterboro. The place smelled like jet fuel and money. A line tech pointed her past a polished black SUV toward a waiting Gulfstream with a staircase already dropped like a tongue. "Ms. Moore?" A man in a charcoal suit called over the wind. "They're expecting you." They were? The email had been frantic. On-call concierge nurse needed for an emergency medical transport, immediate bonus on arrival. She'd taken it because rent wasn't merciful and the hospital had cut overtime again. "Yes," she said, though the word felt unsure in her mouth. The cabin swallowed her in silk and shadow. The aisle carpet was so thick her heels nearly disappeared, the sconces casting warm pools over cream leather. A faint cologne, expensive and clean, threaded the air. Then she saw the guns, holstered at hips, not brandished, but impossible to ignore. 4 men, watchful, earpieces looped behind close-cropped hair. "I think there's been a—" she started. He looked up. Mario Conti didn't stand so much as unfold from the club chair, a controlled lift of a man who commanded rooms by existing inside them. Mediterranean skin, dark hair smoothed back, a jaw sharpened by stubborn decisions. His eyes were lake blue at midnight. They pinned her to the aisle faster than any hand could. "Who brought her up?" said a guard near the galley. "Ms. Moore," Mario said, voice low enough to make the syllables a secret. "You're late." "Late?" The word sent a spark of adrenaline through her tired chest. I was told there was a medical emergency." "On this aircraft?" The guard's palm grazed his sidearm. Mario lifted 2 fingers without looking. The room obeyed. "Let her breathe." His gaze returned to Luna, curious as a knife. "You're not my nurse." "I am a nurse." Her chin lifted on instinct. "You did that in triage with rude surgeons and frightened sons. But if I boarded the wrong—" The jet door thumped, the staircase pulled away. Momentum shifted, a slow tide. Outside, a marshaller's wand sliced orange through black. "Pilot's ready, boss," came a voice from the cockpit. "Hold," Mario said, not glancing away from Luna. The word bound itself to steel. The plane did not move. "Name?" he asked. "Luna. Luna Moore." "Luna." He tasted it like wine. "And you got an email. What account?" She told him. One of the men slid a phone from his jacket, scrolled, frowned. "It spoofed a hospital travel nurse agency. The number bounces." Her throat dried. "I'm so sorry. Stop apologizing for the schemes of cowards." Mario stepped closer. Even tired, Luna noticed the cufflinks, white gold, a small lion's head, engraved as if its roar would be heard only by the worthy. "You walked into a den and didn't flinch. That tells me 2 things. You need money, and you were raised by someone who made sure you didn't mistake fear for failure." Her fingers tightened on the tote strap. "Mom." For a second the airport blurred. "We're not wheels up," the guard reminded. "We should be." "Destination?" Luna asked, hating the tremor in the single word. He watched her watch them. "Paris." Her heart misfired. "France?" A corner of his mouth moved, almost a smile and then not. "Paris, exactly where you think. Or not at all if I say the word." "Sit," he said gently, and it somehow wasn't a command. It was a shelter held open. "I should leave." The sentence was a raft she wasn't sure she wanted. "You should," he agreed. "But if the email was bait, someone wanted you here. Walking back down those stairs without a plan might be less safe than 5,000 miles with me." Wind whistled along the fuselage, a ghost playing an old instrument. Luna turned toward the door that was no longer there, and toward the men who weren't pretending to be anything but dangerous. Mario Conti's eyes didn't move from her face. "Give me 60 seconds," she said finally. "Tell me the truth quick. I don't like being handled." "You're a nurse," he said, almost fond. "You like vital signs." He stepped back half a pace, an audience of one who knew how to be generous without giving ground. "I'm Mario Conti. I have enemies that prefer shadows. I also have rules." He counted them, slow, as if he meant her to measure his pulse by each. Consent is king. Civilians are church. And when I say I protect, I do not negotiate with the weather. His eyes didn't leave hers. No one touches you without your yes. No one hurts you while I breathe. If you leave, I'll have 2 cars take you home, one in front, one behind. If you stay for the flight, you do not owe me anything. Not time, not skin, not a smile. Luna swallowed. The earnestness in the lines of his face scared her more than the guns. Earnestness meant consequences. The plane rocked, subtle, the way a held breath shifts a chest. Outside, a sweep of headlights rolled across the tarmac like a tide of glass. "Boss!" The pilot's voice again, tighter. "Towers requesting we taxi or clear the way." "Hold 1 minute," Mario said. He glanced to the nearest man. "Dante, eyes on the ramp. Leo, check tail cam." A monitor near the galley flickered to life. Vehicles moved where vehicles shouldn't. Luna felt the nurse in her stand up inside her body. Fear does that. It excavates the part that writes orders. If this is unsafe, my leaving makes your night simpler. Mario studied the screen. Your leaving makes you a moving target if that email had a second act. He looked back at her and something in his gaze, the way a storm looks when it chooses to pass over instead of through, softened. It's safer if you're 3 feet from me until I decide it's not. She should have hated that sentence. Instead, she hated how it steadied her. "Seat," he said softly. Her knees bent before she told them to. She sat on the edge of a cream leather divan, tote still strapped across her body like a shield. Mario gestured. A steward secured the door fully, the handle turning with a heavy clunk. The guard called Leo murmured exact numbers under his breath while watching the monitor. 3 SUVs, Leo said. Unmarked, no transponders. The aisle air chilled. Dante's hand hovered near his holster, not touching, but promising. "Who knew you were departing?" Luna asked. It wasn't an accusation. It was triage. Mario's jaw flexed. "More people than I tolerate when I'm in a generous mood." He tapped his knuckles once on the bulkhead, thinking, counting, discarding. "Plan A," he said to no one and everyone. "We taxi to the far end, let them commit. Then we abort. Back through the old maintenance gate. Mateo, call the hangar. Wake the old man." Luna exhaled. "You're not flying." His eyes returned to hers, and for a blink, the room had only the 2 of them in it. "I don't take nurses into storms." The jet eased forward. The runway lights slid by like a river full of stars. Luna's shoulder brushed the window and found cold. She closed her eyes and saw her mother's careful handwriting on the recipe card tucked in her tote. "Keep life small, baby. Small is safe." She opened them and met a man who did not believe in small. "Why me?" she asked, hardly a whisper. "You came," he said simply. The intercom crackled. "Tower cleared runway," the pilot said. "They're pacing us on the service road." "Then we pace them," Mario replied. The Gulf Stream gathered speed like a promise, and then, precisely when Luna thought her ribs might forget the choreography of breathing, the nose dipped, the sound of thrust softened. The plane slowed hard, muscles and metal catching themselves from flight. "Abort," Leo said. "Abort," the pilot confirmed. The runway fell away to a web of service lanes. The jet turned in a curve that pressed Luna toward the aisle, Mario's palm finding the headrest behind her as if to cage the air and not her. Through the oval window, the 3 SUVs adjusted, uncertain, then committed, splitting, one fast, 2 cautious. "Gate's clear," Dante reported into his sleeve. "Old man's there." "Good." Mario's voice went velvet over gravel. "No shots unless we're shot at. We're not starting a war at an airport." A beat. Then, "Boss," Leo said. One of them just flashed a lanyard. Could be a badge, could be a toy. "Counterfeit authority is still counterfeit," Mario said. "We're done playing on their map." The maintenance gate appeared like a secret door in a childhood home. Floodlights snapped on, painting the tarmac a brutal white. The jet nosed toward a yawning hangar older than the shine of the private terminal. its ribs showing like a whale's. Luna gripped her tote until the canvas squeaked. I don't want to be your problem. Mario's eyes moved over her face like he was memorizing it to redraw later. You're not a problem, Luna. You're a responsibility I accept. It shouldn't have thrilled her blood. It did. The jet stopped. The cabin filled with the engine's settling sigh. Men moved, silent, practiced. The door opened to air that smelled of rain and machine oil. A silver-haired man in a battered brown jacket, more father than soldier, lifted a hand, and Mario lifted his back. Move, Mario said, and no one disobeyed. They deplaned into the hangar's jaw. The 3 SUVs parked beyond the floodlights, engines idling, waiting to see if the whale would swallow or spit out its prey. Mario walked a half-step ahead of Luna, Dante ghosting her left shoulder, Leo to her right. Do I get to vote yet? She asked, breath clouding. Mario's mouth tilted. You always get to vote. Some men just pretend otherwise. Then I vote for not dying tonight. Seconded, he said, and for one heartbeat his grin was boyish, devastating. A voice poured from a megaphone by the SUVs, thin and borrowed. Conti, we need to speak. Buy a calendar, Mario said under his breath. Aloud, nothing. He didn't reward performance. The silver-haired man rolled the hangar door wider. Machinery clanked, a sound like a drawbridge lowering. Inside, a darkened skylight dripped stars. Boss, Dante murmured, eyes cutting toward the shadowed edge of the hangar. 2 heat signatures left, one behind the compressor tank. Luna followed his gaze. She didn't see bodies. She saw angles and metal and places where blood pools if you misjudge gravity. The nurse part of her counted compressions, gauze, how long until sirens if someone else called 911. What happens now? She asked. Mario stepped closer, so close she could feel the warmth through his suit, a low hearth in a cold room. Now we choose the road, and if I choose home, you'll get home. He didn't blink. With 2 cars in front, 2 behind, and a man inside your lobby who looks like a mailman and is not. And if I choose to see this through, he gave the smallest, truest nod, then you're under my protection until I say you're not, and I don't say that easily. The megaphone voice cracked again. Conti, last chance. Mario turned his head, finally a lion deciding whether prey deserved a roar. You came to the wrong cathedral, he said softly, not to be heard by them, only by her. Civilians are church. Something moved near the compressor tank. A flick, the kind of mistake people make when they're new to bravery. Dante's hand went up, palm out. I see you. The shadow froze. Luna exhaled slow. Her heart had learned a new rhythm in the last 10 minutes. Danger, decision, mercy, repeat. She should have left. She hadn't. She realized why. With her mother gone, no one had said I've got you in a long time. Mario had said it without the words. Boss, Leo said, voice thin with surprise for the first time that night. He held out his phone, screen lit with a text from an unknown number. 4 words. We have the nurse. The hangar rang with a silence that hurt. Dante's eyes cut to Luna. Mario's did not. He already knew. He always did. He took the phone, looked at the message once, then looked at Luna as if the earth could tilt and he'd hold the horizon steady with his hands. They think you're still outside our gate, he said, voice even. Which means someone told them you'd be walking back to the parking lot alone. Luna lifted her chin. Someone at the hospital. Or someone who watched you read that email. Mario's mouth was all iron again. Either way, the game just changed. From the SUVs, a door slammed. A man stepped forward, no megaphone now, just the audacity of a face coming into the floodlight. He was young to be this stupid. His jacket hung wrong, new leather that hadn't learned how to live. Conti, he shouted. Bring the nurse and we talk. Mario's fingers opened and closed once at his side, a tether he threw around Fury to make it walk heel. He glanced at Luna. Your vote, he said quietly. Run now and you'll owe me nothing. Stay and I will not let them touch you. Her throat ached. Small had been safe until it wasn't. The night smelled like a decision. Luna's answer gathered, simple and enormous. Before she could speak, the floodlights blew, one after another, popping like fireworks over a city that refused to sleep. Darkness fell hard enough to bruise. The hangar door shuddered. "Down!" Dante hissed, pulling Luna to a crouch behind a stack of crates as Mario pivoted, a shadow with a heartbeat, placing himself between her and the night. Somewhere beyond the ruined lights, a voice sang out with the bright joy of a trigger finally pulled. And then the first shot cracked. The shot shattered the night. Luna felt the concussion in her ribs before her ears caught up. Metal screamed. A crate split. Dante's shoulder pressed against hers, forcing her lower as splinters hissed through the air like angry bees. The smell of gunpowder mixed with aviation fuel. Sharp, electric, impossible to forget once it enters your blood. "Stay down," he ordered. "I'm trying," she hissed, clutching her tote like it could stop bullets. Across the dark, Mario moved like a ghost that remembered being a king. He didn't shout. He didn't need to. His men read his silence like scripture. Leo returned fire. 2 measured bursts that weren't panic but punctuation. A second later, nothing. Just the echo of what almost was. "Lights," Mario said. The flood lamps blinked back alive in painful white. The SUVs were empty. 3 doors hung open, idling engines coughing smoke. Whoever had fired had vanished into the maze of storage lots and service roads. Dante rose first, scanning. "They're gone." Mario didn't look relieved. He looked calculating. His hand brushed his lapel where a bullet had grazed cloth but not skin. "Check perimeter, then get her inside." Luna's breath came shallow. Her palms stung, tiny cuts from the crate's splinters. She stared at the blood, absurdly bright. "They were shooting at me?" "They were shooting at leverage," Mario said. "You just happened to be the definition of it." He offered his hand. She didn't move. "You said no one touches me without my yes," she reminded. His mouth tilted even now. "Then say it." The hangar smelled of oil and adrenaline. Outside, sirens began their far-off wail, late to the party as always. Luna looked at the outstretched hand, the veins, the steady fingers that could close around violence or mercy, depending on command. She nodded once. "Yes." He pulled her up gently. No force, no show, just warmth, the human kind that reminds you your heart's still working. For the first time she saw the scar cutting from his wrist toward his watch band, a pale reminder of some older night gone wrong. He followed her gaze. "Payment for trusting the wrong man," he said. "I'm guessing that list is short." It got shorter tonight. Inside the hangar's office, a glass-walled relic with a coffee pot from another century, Mario dismissed his men with a flick of his fingers. Only Dante stayed by the door. Luna sat in a cracked leather chair, fingers trembling just enough to betray her calm. Mario poured whiskey into a crystal glass, then water into another and set it before her. "I don't drink," she said. "It's water," he replied. "I save the whiskey for when I'm pretending to sleep." She sipped. Her throat loosened. "Why am I still here?" "Because whoever sent that email thinks you're missing, and I don't like handing gifts to enemies." "I'm not your gift." "No," he said softly. "You're the complication that just became my responsibility." He leaned against the desk, unbothered by the blood smear across his cuff. "I can send you home, but you'll need protection. My world doesn't erase names easily." "They'll keep looking until they understand why you boarded my jet." "And why did I?" "That," he said, "is the question I'm still asking." An hour later, police lights flared beyond the fence. Mario's crew handled it. Quiet conversations, forged clearances, the sort of diplomacy built on favors and fear. Luna watched from a side window, heart slowing back toward normal. The adrenaline left her hollow, the kind of emptiness nurses knew after losing a patient. Mario came to stand beside her. His reflection in the glass looked carved from stormlight. "You should sleep." "I can't," she said. "I keep replaying it. The flash, the sound." "You process like a medic," he said. "But you don't get to heal if you never let someone else bandage you." "I'm not your project, Mr. Conti." "No," he said, "but you're under my roof, and that means I keep you breathing." He slid a folded paper onto the table between them. His handwriting was elegant, almost old-fashioned. Contract of protection, 24 hours. 1. The undersigned Luna Moore remains a voluntary guest under the protection of Mario Conti. 2. No physical contact without verbal consent. 3. She may withdraw at any time, understanding that doing so voids protective escort. 4. Mario Conti assumes full responsibility for her safety during the term. 5. Destination: temporary relocation to Paris-Las Vegas resort until threat assessment complete. She blinked. This is insane. It's insurance, he said. You like rules. Here are mine. Vegas? You call that protection? No one hunts where I'm worshipped, he said simply, and the only Paris safer than mine is buried under the Atlantic. Why me, Mario? His gaze softened, dangerous in its honesty. Because you walked onto my jet and didn't flinch at the lions. I don't trust easily, Luna Moore. But tonight I trusted your fear. She didn't know what that meant until she saw his hand tremble once before he shoved it into his pocket. The king had cracks. They flew out at dawn in a different plane, smaller, unmarked. Dante took co-pilot. Leo was already ahead, securing suites under aliases. Luna sat across from Mario, knees almost touching. Between them, silence, thick, aware, edged with unspoken questions. Clouds smeared the sunrise into rose and gold. For a moment, it was peaceful. Tell me about being a nurse, he said. She exhaled a laugh. You really want hospital stories right now? I want to hear how people survive without bullets. So she told him, about late shifts, about mothers who hold hands through bad news, about the quiet heroism of keeping hearts beating when no one else notices. He listened, not politely, but intently, as if memorizing her cadence. When she paused, he asked, Why'd you become one? My mom, she said. She had cancer when I was 17. I promised her I'd do something good with the time I got. And you did, he said. She looked out the window. I thought keeping life small was safety. Mario studied her profile. Small keeps you alive, but it never lets you live. The words hit harder than the altitude. She turned to him, and for one dizzy second, the air between them changed. Not lust yet, but gravity. The awareness of two orbits drawing closer. He noticed it too. His voice dropped. You're shaking. I'm fine. No, he said. You're brave. There's a difference. The jet hit turbulence. She grabbed the armrest. His hand came to hers by instinct, large, warm, grounding. Their eyes met, startled, then knowing. He didn't move away until the seatbelt light blinked off. Vegas shimmered like a fever dream by nightfall. The Paris-Las Vegas resort rose from the desert haze, a city within a city, its fake Eiffel Tower slicing neon sky. They entered through a private service corridor, guards fanning ahead. Tourists snapped photos in blissful ignorance that one of the most feared men on the East Coast was walking 3 feet from them with a nurse who still smelled faintly of antiseptic and rain. Their suite sat 50 floors up, gold-lined and too beautiful for comfort. A balcony overlooked the half-size tower, fountains below catching the last blush of sunset. This isn't Paris, she said. It's close enough to fool the lonely, he replied. He loosened his tie, poured wine, then stopped halfway. Water, he corrected, remembering her. Still water. Trying to impress me? I'm trying not to scare you. She smiled despite herself. Too late. He smiled back, faint and real. Then I'll have to earn the opposite. Night settled. Luna stood on the balcony, the desert wind tugging her hair. Below, Vegas glowed. Too alive, too temporary. Behind her, she felt Mario's presence before she heard it. He moved quietly for a man used to command. You could run now, he said. I'd get lost before the elevator, she replied. I'd find you before the lobby. Protective or possessive? He considered. Maybe both, but one ends when you say so. She turned, eyes glinting city light. And if I never say stop? Then I'll keep listening for the word. Silence, charged, the kind that hums just before lightning. He stepped closer, close enough that she caught the scent of cedar and danger. His fingers brushed a loose strand from her cheek, hovered, didn't touch skin. "Consent is king," he murmured, almost to himself. "Then what's this?" she whispered. "A test of my kingdom." They both breathed the same inch of air, and then, knock. Dante's voice from beyond the door shattered the spell. "Boss," he called, tension coiled. "We have a situation." Mario blinked once, the mask of the Don sliding back over the man. "Enter." Dante crossed the threshold, eyes hard. "Vegas PD just raided one of our storage units off Industrial Road. Someone tipped them. And it wasn't one of ours." Mario's jaw clenched. "The leak again." "There's more," Dante said, handing over a photo. It was a hospital security still, grainy but clear. A man with a serpent tattoo on his forearm handing an envelope across a nurse's station. Luna's stomach dropped. "I know that tattoo." Mario's gaze snapped to her. "From where?" She swallowed. "Emergency shift last month. He came in with a gunshot wound. My supervisor said no police report. Confidential client." That same supervisor was on duty the night I got that email. Mario's eyes darkened to the color of midnight glass. "Then the leak isn't just in my house," he said. "It's in yours." He turned toward the window, fists closing slowly, as if strangling the thought before it could breathe. When he looked back, his voice was the calm before an earthquake. "Pack light, Luna Moore. Tomorrow we visit your hospital." She blinked. "You can't just walk into a hospital." "I can walk anywhere," he said low, "but I'll do it your way first. And if my way doesn't work, then," he said, stepping close enough that she felt the promise more than heard it, "we stop being polite." He reached for the switch, dimming the suite into half-shadow. "Get some rest. You'll need it." She stood frozen as he left, heart pounding against her ribs like a warning she couldn't translate. Through the window, the Eiffel Tower replica glittered, mocking in its beauty. Somewhere deep inside, Luna realized that whatever tomorrow brought, the world she thought she knew, the safe, small one, was already gone. And Mario Conti was the reason she wasn't afraid of that anymore. Then her phone buzzed on the nightstand. Unknown number. She hesitated, thumb hovering. The preview text glowed in the dark. "We know where you are, Nurse Moore. Next time, he won't stop the bullet." Her breath caught. From the suite's hallway came Mario's voice, sharp, commanding. "Dante, lock every exit." The desert night outside went silent, waiting for the next move. The threat text still glowed on Luna's screen when Mario took the phone from her fingers and read it once. He didn't raise his voice or make a speech. He lifted his gaze and the room obeyed. "Dante, tighten the floor. Leo, find where that number touched the network. No speeches, no noise," he said, then turned back to Luna. "You're safe with me." He didn't crowd her. He didn't grab her wrist. He stood a step away and let her choose the space between them. "I'm not used to anyone saying that and meaning it," she answered. "I only say what I can do." The suite felt too bright, so he dimmed the lights, opened the balcony doors, and let the desert air slip in. Below, the fountains breathed in silver arcs. Beyond the glass, the replica Eiffel drew a line of light across the sky. It wasn't France. It didn't need to be. He was the only passport she needed tonight. "Sit," he said softly, and when she did, he poured water, not wine. "You'll sleep. I'll keep watch." "How long can a man live like that?" she asked. "As long as the people he loves need him to," he said without blinking. The word loves landed, simple and terrifying. He didn't correct it, didn't dress it up as strategy. He let it stay there between them, steady as a heartbeat. Luna slept for a few hours because he asked her to. When she woke, he was where he said he would be, jacket off, gun on the table, eyes clear. There was coffee waiting and a look she was starting to recognize, a check of her breathing, not her obedience. "You look human again," he said. "You look like you haven't closed your eyes." "I took 20 minutes and dreamed of nothing. I recommend it." She smiled despite the knot in her chest. "What now?" "Your rules," he reminded. "Hospital first. We ask. We don't break." "Thank you." she whispered. You don't owe me thanks for promises I already made. They moved like ordinary people because ordinary hides better. No convoy, no spectacle. 2 suits the color of fog for Dante and Leo, a charcoal jacket for Mario, a navy dress for Luna that made her feel like herself, and not a piece on someone else's board. The hospital's automatic doors opened into the scent of lemon cleaner and nerves. Nurses rushed past with charts and soft voices. A toddler wailed in triage. An old man watched daytime television with his mouth open in wonder at nothing. Luna's badge still worked. That hurt and helped at the same time. Dr. Cassandra Hale's office had a poster that read "Empathy Saves" in block letters. The woman herself wore a crisp blouse and an expression Luna had once trusted. Hale looked at the 3 men behind Luna and rearranged her face into neutral, the way administrators learned to do when a storm entered the room wearing a tie. "Ms. Moore," Hale said. "And advisors," Mario replied. "We won't take much of your time." "HIPAA," she started. "No patience," Luna cut in. "You approved a confidential gunshot intake last month. A man with a serpent tattoo. No police report. Why?" Hale's eyes flicked to Mario, then back to Luna. "We treat everyone who comes through those doors." "Treating isn't the same as hiding," Luna said. Hale's fingers rested on the back of her chair. For a second, she looked tired enough to be honest. "Some men offered substantial donations for discretion," she said flatly. "I told myself it kept violence out of the waiting room and paid for a pediatric CT we couldn't afford." "And the email that put Luna on a private jet last night?" Mario asked, calm but edged. "Who sent that?" "I don't know who pressed send," Hale said, choosing each syllable like a step on ice. "I know the courier's name. Vincent Russo. He took envelopes. He brought envelopes. He used your jet's tail number like a magic word and told me not to call the police if I valued my budget." "Why Luna?" Mario asked. Hale inhaled. "Because she files reports other people ignore. Last winter she stood up for a boy who overheard a confession in a hallway and wouldn't stop shaking. The man who wanted that report buried has friends. He wanted leverage. He wanted someone good to be scared." Luna felt heat rise behind her eyes. She remembered the boy's small hands, the way he pressed his face to the blanket, the whisper, "They said the river eats snitches." She'd written the report anyway. Mario didn't reach for her. He just stood a little closer so her shoulder brushed his sleeve when she exhaled. "You did the right thing," he said quietly, as if reminding her body before her mind. Hale watched their proximity like a scientist who didn't like what the lab mouse had learned. "If I tell the board, the donations stop." "So does the quiet," she said. "Call the DA," Mario replied. "Then your board. In that order. If you need a lawyer, you'll have one inside the hour." "You're not a lawyer," Hale said. "No," Mario agreed. "I'm the man who will make sure no one touches a nurse for doing her job. Choose carefully, doctor. The window for courage closes fast." Something in Hale's face flinched and then steadied. "I'll make the calls." "Good," Mario said, already done with her. To Luna, gentler. "We're leaving." Hale reached for Luna's sleeve as she passed. "I don't know if I did the right thing these last months, but you did," she said. And it wasn't a performance. It was an apology that knew it would have to work for forgiveness. "Do better now," Luna said, and followed Mario out. In the elevator, she stared at her reflection, nurse badge, dress, the faint tremor in her hand. Mario saw it in the glass and positioned himself so their shoulders touched, nothing more. "I didn't break your rules," he said. "You didn't," she whispered. "And when we find Russo, we'll ask first. Your way." Something tender and fierce uncurling inside her lifted its head at that. It wasn't the thrill of being protected. It was the relief of being heard. Back at the resort, Mario refused to hide in shadows. "Monsters like darkness," he'd told her earlier. "We'll eat in the light." The private salon off the casino floor wasn't loud, but it was alive. Warm lamps, a jazz trio, waiters who said, "Welcome back," even if it was your first time. He guided Luna to a table near a window. Outside, the tower glittered. Inside, the tablecloths were white, and the glasses never empty. Why bring me here? She asked. Because fear shrinks people, he said. I'm not letting it shrink you. The waiter offered wine. Mario shook his head and ordered sparkling water for both of them. When the food came, Luna realized she hadn't eaten since dawn. He didn't push. He just kept the conversation easy until she forgot to be tense. Tell me something true, he said when the plates were almost empty. She looked at their hands on the table. His, large and steady. Hers, slim and honest. I haven't let anyone hold me since my mother died. He absorbed that without triumphant smile, without pity. Then this stays what it is. Safety. If it becomes more, it will be because you said so. The music curved around them. He offered his hand. Not an order, not theater. She took it. They didn't dance the way people on magazine covers do. They moved like a promise. Slow, simple, real. His palm warmed the small of her back but never pressed. He matched her breath. She relaxed inch by inch until her head found the square of his shoulder and rested there, just long enough to teach her body a different definition of safe. He didn't kiss her. He could have. He didn't. When the song ended, he touched his forehead to hers for a heartbeat, then stepped away. I can want and still wait, he said. She felt it in her knees. Dangerous man. For the right people, he said, and the way he looked at her made the word right feel like a key changing songs. Leo slipped to the edge of their table with a laptop balanced on his forearm, voice low. We found the number that texted Luna. Disposable phone, bounced through the hotel Wi-Fi for 2 minutes. Russo is registered across the property under an alias. Cameras put him near our elevator bank an hour ago with 2 men I don't know. Armed? Mario asked. Concealed well, Leo said, but they move like they can pull fast. Luna's pulse jumped. Are we leaving town? No, Mario said. We make this simple. He stood and the room changed temperature by 1 degree. The exact amount that announces a storm is in the county. He didn't posture or bark. He paid the bill, nodded to the trio, and led Luna out through a side corridor lined with framed photos. His hand hovered at her back, a promise that could become a wall in half a second. In the private elevator, he turned to her. Your rule still stands. We ask first. No unnecessary violence. But if he puts a hand on you, I know, she said, then it's your rules. He didn't look pleased about that. He looked honest. On the suite level, Dante was waiting. Russo checked into Bally's 4318, he said. He just ordered room service and made a call he thought was private. Who answered? Mario asked. A number parked inside a warehouse off Industrial Road, Leo said. Same block as the storage unit PD raided this morning. So the leak is real and local, Mario said. Good. Local problems can be solved without starting a war. They didn't charge down the hallway. They walked. Dante knocked. A chain slid. The door opened an inch, then wider when Russo saw 3 men who didn't look like hotel security and a woman whose eyes didn't flinch. Wrong room, Russo said automatically, trying to shut the door. Mario set his palm flat against it and the door decided to behave. Vincent, he said lightly, let's talk. The room smelled like takeout and cheap cologne. A second man sat at the little table. A third stood near the window pretending to be casual and failing. No riddles, no games. Guns on hips, shirts too tight across the shoulders. We can do this one of 2 ways, Mario said, tone so calm it made the air lean in to hear. Your voice or mine? Russo looked at Luna the way a small fire looks at dry grass. She's not part of this. She's the only reason I'm here in person, Mario replied. She's the point. Leo shut the door softly and stayed in front of it. Dante moved to the side where he could see everyone's hands. Luna stood beside Mario, not behind him. She refused to give Russo her fear. Who paid for the email? She asked, voice clear. Russo tried for swagger and missed. People send emails every day, sweetheart. Maybe you clicked the wrong one. Mario didn't touch him. He didn't need to. He let the silence stretch until it pulled. Names, he said. Places. Now. Something in Russo's calculus stuttered. He flicked his gaze to the second man, who stared fixedly at the carpet. It was supposed to be a scare, Russo muttered. A message. From who? Luna pressed. Say it. Russo swallowed. Havel. The name came out like a sore tooth. He wants a meeting in Vegas. He figured she'd keep you cooperative. Dante's jaw ticked. Leo's eyes sharpened. Mario didn't move at all. And the plan after the scare? Grab her outside, Russo said fast, scared of his own words now. Hold her 20 minutes, get you to sign a truce, then let her go. No harm. Luna felt Mario shift, not forward, not back, just more present, like heat turning up. You sent men to take a nurse off a hotel hallway. Russo's mouth opened, closed. Orders. Place, Mario said, tone flat as a blade. Where's the grab team now? Russo gave it up because everything else in the room told him the truth. This was his only good choice left. Garage level C, north stairwell. 2 guys. They think she's alone. Mario turned his head. Dante. I'm already moving, Dante said, phone at his ear. Our team will be there in 60 seconds. Mario looked back at Russo, all the velvet gone. If they touch any civilian, it will be the last thing they do on Nevada soil. Russo's throat bobbed. They won't. Not because of your promise, Mario said. He stepped aside so Luna could see Russo the way he wanted him seen. Small, predictable, a man who confused money with power. Look at me, Mario said to her, not taking his eyes off the courier. Is this simple enough? Yes, she said, and realized her hands weren't shaking anymore. Dante's text flashed on Leo's phone. Clear. Team detained without contact. Civilians safe. Mario exhaled once through his nose. He took out his phone, dialed, and when someone answered, his voice slid back to low. Captain, it's Mario Conti. I'm handing you a gift at Bally's, room 4318. 3 men and a phone that connects to a warehouse off Industrial. You'll want it. He ended the call and pocketed the phone. Russo blanched. You're giving me to the police? You're not worth anything better, Mario said simply. Hotel security was faster than the police. They took Russo and his men without fuss. There were no riddles, no notes, no theater. Just paperwork, handcuffs, and a cart of food no one touched. In the corridor, Mario turned to Luna. Your rules worked, he said. She nodded, breath unsteady for the first time since the door opened. You kept them. I'll keep them until the moment they stop keeping you safe, he answered honestly. After that, you won't like my rules. I don't think I'd be afraid of them, she said, surprising herself. He studied her like the answer had untied something inside him. Don't test that theory. They walked back toward their suite without speaking. The elevator hummed. The city glowed. When the doors opened, Leo's phone vibrated again. He glanced down, then up. Warehouse off Industrial Road just went dark, he said. Power cut. Cameras offline. No puzzle, Dante added. That means they're packing or burning. Mario looked at Luna, and for the first time he didn't ask whether she wanted out. He knew. She lifted her chin anyway. Your hospital is clean now, he said. Your name isn't. Then we finish this, she replied. They stepped into the suite. The night pressed close to the glass. Mario set his gun on the table and, for the first time, reached for her hand without asking, only to hold it, warm and solid, a line thrown across a fast river. I won't let them use you again, he told her. I know, she said, and meant it. Dante's radio crackled. Boss, a voice said, urgent and clear. We've got movement at Industrial, trucks rolling, and Havel's people are headed toward the strip. Mario's eyes found Luna's. Your rules got us here, he said softly. The next step might require mine. Luna squeezed his hand once. Then do what you have to do. He looked at the city, then at her, and made the decision out loud so there were no mysteries left between them. Tonight we take Havel's teeth, he said, and we make sure every door he could use to reach you is bricked shut. A knock sounded at their door, 3 quick raps, the kind that mean news, not courtesy. Dante opened to Leo's grim face. Havel just put a price on her, Leo said. By name. The last of Luna's small life fell away, clean as a cut. What replaced it wasn't fear, it was clarity. "Then we end this," she said. Mario's mouth curved, not in triumph, but in recognition. "Together," he agreed. The city outside looked like a stage set someone had left the lights on for. Inside, the decision stood upright between them like a pillar. And down on Industrial Road, engines started. Engines rumbled under the suite's floor like distant thunder. Leo's update hung in the air. Havel put a price on Luna, by name. Mario didn't pace. He never wasted steps. He turned to her with the same careful attention he'd give a live wire. "I'm going to lock this down in 2 moves," he said. "First, we close the warehouse on Industrial Road. Second, we cut off the men who think they can touch you and still breathe." "I don't want blood because of me," Luna said. "Then it will be because of me," he answered. "But we'll do this clean. No civilians hurt. No bravado in public?" He nodded to Dante. "Call the captain. Tell him we're going to deliver him something useful again." Dante was already dialing. Leo pulled maps onto the TV. Routes, garage levels, service alleys that pulsed like veins. He pointed to the warehouse block. "Backup generators here and here. If they cut power, they still have lights. They'll try to move trucks out the north gate." "Then we close the north gate," Mario said, "and the south. And the door in their heads that says, 'I'm persuadable.'" He faced Luna again. The city's glow caught on his cheekbones. The gold flecks in his eyes looked hotter than the lamps. "You stay with me," he said. "No arguments?" "None," she said, surprising them both with how easy the word came. He reached as if to touch her face, stopped just before skin. "May I?" "Yes." His hand cupped her cheek, warm, steady. "There's a line I don't cross," he said softly. "I don't trade innocent lives. Not for money, not for power, not even for love." The word didn't shock her now. It landed like a chair he'd pulled out and left there if she wanted to sit. "Good," she whispered, leaning into his palm, "because I won't let you." A breath, shared. Then he let go, and the general came back. "Move," he told his men. They didn't cut through the casino. They took service corridors and a private elevator to an underground garage where a black SUV idled, thicker doors, armored glass. Dante drove. Leo rode shotgun with a tablet mapping every vehicle within 3 blocks. Mario slid in beside Luna and buckled her belt himself, fingers quick and impersonal until they weren't. He paused, checking her eyes like a medic checks for light. "Breathe. 4 in, 4 hold, 6 out," she murmured, and he smiled once, fast. The SUV rose up the ramp into Vegas heat. Neon flickered alive, even though it was still late afternoon. Tourists drifted between casinos like schools of bright fish. Somewhere a bride laughed under a plastic sky. The world didn't know it was playing music over a battlefield. "Captain confirms units are inbound to Industrial," Dante reported. "He asks for a buffer so he can arrive with lights and paperwork." "You'll get your buffer," Mario said into the air. "But not at the cost of our skin." Luna watched his profile as the strip slid past, a silhouette built out of decisions most men couldn't carry. She wanted to say something light to cut the weight, but the truth was better. "I don't know how to thank you." "You don't," he answered. "You live." The SUV cut east, away from the strip's glow. Blocks flattened into warehouses, fences, roll-up doors. Leo toggled the view to security cameras, 2 feeds still alive. He pointed. There, 2 trucks in the yard, 4 men visible, more inside. "Any civilians?" Mario asked. "None," Leo said. "Warehouse next door is closed. It's the quiet part of day." "Good." Mario's voice became steel wrapped in cloth. "Dante, take the south gate slow. Don't spook them into speed." Dante eased the SUV past the first corner. An alley gaped to their right, a white van idled too neat to be an accident. Leo clocked the plate, already texting it to a contact. "Is this where I tell you to stay in the car?" Mario asked Luna without looking away from the yard. "It's where I tell you I'm not a porcelain doll," she replied, calm, clear. "I know how to listen. I know how to take cover. I know how to stop bleeding. He breathed out like the sentence had hit a private place. Then if I say down, you're down. Down, she echoed, a promise. Dante pulled into the yard and parked broadside, body of the SUV shielding the entrance. The four men outside froze a beat too long, the beat where motives sort themselves into lies or guns. A door banged open. Vincent Russo's face did a quick, stunned second of hope when he saw Dante, and died when he saw Mario. You again, he said. Not for long, Mario said. Where's Havel? Russo swallowed. Not here. He sent me to clear this place. Good, Mario said. Then clear it for the police. He lifted his phone. Captain, yard is open, trucks present, we'll hold the gate. Sirens didn't scream. They approached with discipline. 2 cruisers took the far end, a third slid in behind the SUV. Officers stepped out in calm geometry. No one pointed at Luna. No one shouted. This was the way it should look when men agreed on rules. Inside the warehouse, footsteps scrambled. Boxes thudded. A man with a shaved head sprinted for the side exit and saw Dante watching. All patience, all bad news. He stopped. Hands, Dante said, level, and the man lifted them, discovering that some mountains don't have to move to block the road. An officer took him without fuss. 2 more came out, hands empty. One had a tattoo that made Luna's stomach knot, the serpent. She swallowed, stepped forward before she could think, and pointed so there would be no mistake. Him. He came into my ER. You didn't report a gunshot. You hit it. She told the nearest officer, voice steady. Ma'am, step back, the officer said, not unkindly, as he cuffed the man. We'll document. The serpent tattoo man sneered at Mario. You don't own Vegas. Mario didn't answer. He looked at Luna instead. You okay? She nodded. She wasn't shaking. It surprised her. The captain arrived last, a woman with a tired face and a razor in her gaze. She took one look at Mario and didn't posture. You made my afternoon easier, she said. I prefer my nights quiet, he replied. You'll find false panels in the east wall. She arched a brow. And I'll ask how you know. You could, he said. Or you could find the panels. She left it there. Orders flowed. Boxes opened. Someone called, "Got it," from the wall, and the captain didn't bother hiding the grim satisfaction on her mouth. Mario turned to Dante and Leo. Walk Russo to the cruisers. Politely. Russo didn't fight. He looked small in the late light, another man who'd mistaken access for armor. Luna watched the officers move with practiced calm and felt a knot inside her loosen. This was simple. Not easy, but simple. People did wrong. Other people stopped them. She had a role in that world, and so did Mario, even if his lines were written on darker paper. Thank you for not turning this into a war, she said quietly. He considered. A man can do a lot with no if he practices. She exhaled a laugh that shook out tension. Do you practice? Tonight, he said, mouth tilting. With you as my coach. The captain returned, a clipboard in hand. We'll process this, she said, but Havel isn't here. I know, Mario said. Then you also know he won't like losing inventory or men, she added, eyes cutting to Luna with fast human sympathy. Be careful. I am, Luna said, and felt Mario's heat beside her like an answer. Dusk stretched Vegas into something softer. They took back streets to the resort. For once, the strip felt like a kindness, noise to hide inside. In the suite, quiet folded around them. Dante and Leo posted on the hall and the living room, radios low, doors bracketed by men who moved like locks. Mario set his gun on the table and turned to Luna with his hands empty. Shower, he said. Eat. Then we plan for Havel's next move. And after we plan? She asked, stepping closer because the day had earned closeness. After we plan, he said, voice lowering. I ask you a question with my mouth that I won't ask with my hands. Her cheeks warmed. Ask now. He swallowed, a rare tell. May I kiss you, Luna? She couldn't stop the smile if she tried. Yes. He moved slowly, giving her every inch to change her mind. She didn't. His hand cupped the back of her neck, gentle and secure. His mouth found hers in a kiss that was more vow than claim, warm, patient, devastating. The room disappeared. The city fell away. Her body learned him like a favorite song heard for the first time. Surprise and recognition at once. When he finally lifted his head, his thumb brushed her jaw. "Tell me to stop, and I will." "Don't," she whispered. "Not yet." They stood there like that, breath tangling, the kiss deepening in careful degrees until wanting wasn't a problem, but a plan. He broke it first because he was who he was, responsibility beating a fraction louder than desire. "Food," he said, hoarse. "Then we hunt." They ate on the balcony, plates balanced on their knees, watching the fountain show throw water like joy. He told her the outline. Havel would try the strip, not the outskirts. He'd make it public enough to force Mario to choose between control and fury. They would choose control and end it. "I want to be with you," she said. "Not just in the suite, Mario, there. If this is about me, I won't be cargo." "You will never be cargo," he said. "You will be my line in the sand, but I'm not taking you where bullets might go to learn their names." "I've lived my whole life small to avoid bullets," she said. It didn't work. He looked at her a long beat, then nodded once, decision carving a new channel across his face. "You stay in the SUV with Leo. Door locked. If I say drive, you drive. If I say down, you're on the floor. That's the only way I let you come." "That's the only way I go," she agreed. He exhaled like a man accepting both doom and blessing. "Okay, we end it." Night ripened into full neon. The convoy was small, their SUV, a second behind with two men Mario trusted from New York. Dante drove again. Leo's tablet threw small constellations across the dashboard. Radio chatter stayed clipped and calm. They rolled at city speed, never fast enough to attract attention, never slow enough to be boxed. Mario's phone buzzed once. He read the text, face unreadable. "From Havel?" she asked. "From a man who thinks Havel signs his checks," he said. "He wants me at Harmon and Audrey. 10 minutes. "Busy intersection," Leo said. "Cameras everywhere. He wants an audience." "Let him get one," Mario replied. "But not the scene he imagines." They turned, slid past headlights and laughter, and reached the corner. The light went green. Dante eased forward. 2 trucks moved at once, one from the left lane, one from a loading dock. The world narrowed to metal. Dante braked hard. Tires sang. Leo cursed and grabbed the dash. The lead truck stopped nose to nose with them. The second sealed the rear. Doors yawned. Men spilled into the street in a practiced arc. "Down," Mario said, already reaching, already unbuckling to put his body between her and the windshield. Luna slid low as trained. The world outside detonated into shouts and brakes and the sharp inhale of 100 tourists realizing they were in a story. No riddles, no notes, no poems. A man stepped out of the lead truck wearing an expensive suit and a smile that didn't touch his eyes. Broad shoulders, too much cologne, a scar that cut through an eyebrow like a bad decision. Havel. He lifted a hand. The men behind him stopped moving. He looked straight through the windshield at Mario and then at Luna. Slow, deliberate, cruelly polite, he pointed to her. "Bring her," he mouthed, enunciating like a teacher with a slow student. Mario opened his door into the noise of Vegas and the smell of hot brakes and asphalt. He stepped out, a study in controlled violence, and shut the door behind him with a click that sounded like judgment. "Boss," Leo started. "Hold," Mario said, never taking his eyes off Havel. Havel spread his hands. "Conti," he called over the traffic, the showman trying for charisma. "You've taken much from me today. I take one thing back. The nurse." Mario's voice didn't ride the air. It cleaved it. "No." Havel tilted his head, amused. "Then let's count the civilians we put in danger while you find your pride." Mario didn't look. He already knew. Families on sidewalks, couples with phones up, drivers praying their bumpers survived the night. He also knew his line. He stepped forward 1 pace. "You won't touch her," he said. and you won't make me choose between innocence and victory. You don't get to write my choices. Havel's smile thinned. He flicked 2 fingers. 2 of his men started toward the SUV at a jog, cutting angle to the rear door. Drive, Mario said, the word a match. Dante slammed the gear, cut the wheel, and the SUV leapt backward toward the second truck's bumper. Metal kissed metal and screamed. Leo threw the lock and braced. Luna slid to the floor, arms over her head, heart pounding in clean, useful beats. Havel shouted something ugly. A man reached for the rear handle, and above them, from the hotel parking structure, a siren blared to life. 1, then 2, then all of them. Patrol cars pouring into the intersection like blue water. The captain's voice cracked over a loudspeaker, flanked by the sound of doors and orders and the crisp click of safeties. Drop your weapons. For a second, everything hung on decision. Havel looked at the blue lights, then back at Mario, and chose the only move men like him ever think they have left. He lifted a hand, pointed at the SUV again, and shouted, "Take her!" Mario moved faster than fear. He reached for the passenger door to pull it open, to get to Luna, to make himself a wall. And a shadow rose at his back from the edge of the truck, a man who'd waited too long in the blind spot. Steel flashed. The butt of a gun swung for Mario's skull. The swing came from Mario's blind side, steel flashing, the butt of a gun arcing for his skull. He turned just enough. The blow clipped him instead of breaking him. Pain flared white. He caught the wrist and drove the attacker into the truck's door with a flat metallic clang. "Down!" Mario shouted. Luna ducked between the seats. Leo locked the doors and covered her with his arm. Outside, the captain's voice roared through loudspeakers. "Police! Hands up!" Havel smirked and spread his arms, pretending calm. His men hesitated, unsure whether to obey or fire. Dante slammed the SUV in reverse. Tires screamed. Patrol cars boxed the intersection in blue. Officers surrounded them, rifles up, voices layered and sharp. Mario steadied himself, blood tracing a red line down his temple. He pushed through pain and yanked the door open. Luna rose, eyes wide, hands already searching for the first aid kit. "Let me see," she said. "Gauze, saline, pressure. You'll need 2 stitches. Later," he murmured, watching her hands instead of the wound. She pressed firmer. "Hold still." He did, and for a heartbeat, the world shrank to her touch. Havel laughed from 10 feet away, cuffed and defiant. "He bleeds for you, nurse." "How touching." Luna ignored him. "You'll scar," she said. "I already do," Mario answered, faint smile flickering. The captain approached, firm and tired. "You good?" "I'm upright," he said. She nodded. "We'll handle this. But Havel's people don't scare easy." "They'll learn," Mario said. "Pain's a better teacher than pride." They watched as officers loaded Havel into a cruiser. He looked straight at Luna, venom soft as silk. "You made him weak." She met his eyes. "No, I made him human." He laughed once before the door shut, taking his noise with him. Back at the suite, quiet returned like a blessing. Mario sat on the couch while Luna cleaned the wound properly. "This part will sting," she warned. "I've been stung before." "Not by me," she said, stitching gently. 2 quick passes, 1 knot. "Done." He studied her face. "You act like my life can be fixed." "It can," she said. "You just need help knowing where to start." He smiled, small, honest, dangerous in a different way. "You're a problem, Luna Moore." "I know." He leaned forward and kissed her. No hurry, no fear, just truth and relief. When they parted, she whispered, "Don't stop. I want to remember what peace feels like first. Then learn fast." They laughed softly. For a moment, the world didn't have guns or debts, just them, breathing the same air. A knock broke the quiet. Dante's rhythm. Work returned. Leo entered with his tablet. Havel made bail, someone paid in cash, and Dr. Hale's car left the hospital garage with a driver who isn't her. Luna's heart stuttered. They took her. "Looks that way," Leo said. Her phone pinged once near the old Midtown construction site. Mario stood, eyes sharp again. "He wants leverage." He thinks another hostage will make me bend. He turned to Luna. You stay with Leo. Locked doors. If I say go, you go. I'm not a bystander, she said. I'm with you. He exhaled. Then you stay in the car. No heroics. No arguments. He squeezed her hand. Quick, firm, warm. Let's end this. The convoy was small. 2 SUVs glided through back streets toward the unfinished tower that stabbed the sky near the strip. Dante parked 1 block off. Mario checked his gun, then her face. You listen to my voice, he said. If anyone opens that door, I hit the horn and drive. She finished. He smiled. Good girl. He and Dante disappeared up the concrete stairs. Luna sat in the driver's seat, pulse loud in her ears. Leo watched the screens. They'll have her in the open, he said. Cowards like showmanship. 30 stories up, the night wind cut through rebar. Mario saw Havel first, standing near the ledge, 2 men gripping Dr. Hale's arms. She was shaking but upright. Finally, Havel called. Bring me the nurse or she falls. Mario stepped closer, gun down. You're not getting anyone. Let her go. Trade, Havel said, smiling like a salesman. You know the rules. I write new ones. He moved fast. 2 strides, 1 pivot. His elbow caught the guard's ribs. Dante's shot cracked once. The second man dropped his weapon. Hale gasped, stumbling free. Havel lunged, grabbing her by the collar. Mario leveled his gun. Don't, he warned. You won't hit me before you die. For a moment, Havel's nerve broke. The captain's team burst through the stairwell behind them. Floodlights swept the floor. Officers shouted, Drop it! Havel hesitated too long. Dante surged forward, wrenching the gun away. Hale fell backward into Mario's arms. He pulled her close, steadying. You're safe, he said. Havel ran. Down concrete stairs, across the garage level, straight toward the exit ramp where headlights burned through the dust. The SUV. Luna sat behind the wheel, doors locked, engine on. She saw Havel sprinting toward her and didn't flinch. Leo lifted his radio. Now! She hit the horn. The sound roared through the structure. Havel faltered, blinded by light. Dante hit him from the side, driving him to the floor. Mario arrived seconds later, breath rough, eyes burning. Don't move, he said. Cuffs clicked. Havel spat on the concrete. You made him weak, he hissed again. Luna stepped out, voice calm. No, I made him honest. Officers dragged Havel away. The captain appeared, hair loose, satisfied. He's done, she said. Hale's safe. You both should get some rest. Mario nodded. Thank you. Luna reached for his hand. Let's go home. He looked at her for a long moment. Yeah, home. In the suite, the city glowed beneath them like a secret that finally exhaled. Mario set his gun on the table. It's over, he said, voice raw. You can breathe now. I will, she said, but not without you. He crossed the room in 2 strides and kissed her. Slow, certain, nothing left to hide. When they broke apart, she whispered, I love you. He smiled, tired and real. Good, because I'm done pretending I don't. They stood at the window, her head on his shoulder, the strip pulsing below like another heartbeat. For the first time in years, Mario Conti felt peace that didn't come from power. Tomorrow, there would be hearings, lawyers, news. But tonight, there was her. Alive, brave, his. And outside, the first faint light of dawn climbed over the desert, painting the world gold again. Morning poured through the windows like melted gold. The strip below looked peaceful, almost innocent, as if the city hadn't watched a war end overnight. Luna woke to find Mario already dressed, shirt open at the collar, jacket over one shoulder, hair still damp from the shower. He stood at the window with a cup of coffee, watching the sun rise as if waiting for permission to start over. Couldn't sleep? She asked, voice soft from dreams. He turned, the tired smile she was learning by heart curving his mouth. Habit. I'm used to mornings that ask for blood. This one only wants coffee. She wrapped a sheet around her and came to stand beside him. So, It's really over. For now, he said. Havel will talk. He always does when he realizes silence doesn't make him powerful. And after he talks, I make sure everyone who followed him understands what lines never get crossed again. Her fingers found his. You could walk away, Mario. You don't need to fix everything. He looked at her hand in his. Small, warm, stubborn. I can't walk away from what I built, but I can change how I guard it. He leaned down, kissing her temple. You taught me that. She smiled. You taught me that bravery isn't about guns. It's about choice. By noon, they were downtown for the arraignment. The courthouse buzzed with reporters and flashing cameras. Dante and Leo cleared a path with quiet authority, their faces set to neutral. Luna held Mario's arm, her pulse steady even under the noise. Inside, the courtroom smelled of paper, sweat, and justice, trying to stay awake. Havel sat at the defense table in a tailored suit, wrists cuffed, smirk still alive. When he spotted them, his expression faltered, not from fear, but from realization. He'd lost the audience he wanted most. The judge called order. Prosecutors recited charges that stacked higher than the skyline: kidnapping, extortion, attempted murder, racketeering. The list went on until even Havel's lawyer stopped pretending this was performance. Luna sat behind the rail. Mario stood to testify first, voice calm and exact. He didn't glamorize. He didn't threaten. He spoke of the ambush, of the hospital leak, of the woman taken hostage. Every word came out steady, each one landing like a nail closing a coffin. When it was Luna's turn, the courtroom changed temperature. She wasn't a mafioso or a headline. She was a nurse who had simply told the truth. She spoke of her patient, the boy who overheard a confession, and the fear that crawled into her life afterward. She spoke of choice, of staying small until small no longer worked. Havel tried to interrupt once. The judge silenced him with a glare sharp enough to cut. Luna's voice didn't tremble. I did my job. He did crimes. That's the difference. When she sat, Mario's hand brushed her knee beneath the table, hidden but grounding. She didn't need thanks. She needed to know the world still had order somewhere. The judge denied bail. The gavel came down. Cameras flashed. And for the first time since that night at Teterboro, Luna Moore felt her heartbeat slow without fear chasing it. Outside, the desert air hit warm and dry. Reporters shouted questions Mario ignored. He opened the SUV door for her like a gentleman, not a boss. You did it, he said. We did it, she corrected. And maybe next time you can pick your travel companions more carefully. He laughed, low and real, and the sound felt like sunlight. Back at the resort, they packed slowly. The suite looked different now, less fortress, more memory. The bed unmade, coffee cups half full, her scrubs folded on a chair like proof that two worlds had found a way to share space. Where will you go now? She asked, watching him button his shirt. Home, he said. New York first. Then who knows? I've got a city to calm down and a reputation to untangle. And me? He turned to her. Where do you want to go, Luna Moore? She hesitated, because for the first time in years she actually had an answer. Wherever there's sunrise. And you. He crossed the room and kissed her, slow, deliberate, sealing something that didn't need words. When he pulled back, his forehead stayed against hers. That's dangerous, he whispered. I like dangerous, she said. At least when it looks like you. 2 weeks later, Manhattan's skyline glimmered like glass teeth under a setting sun. Mario's jet touched down quietly. No armed guards this time. The hangar smelled of oil and salt air. He helped her down the stairs, not because she needed it, but because he wanted to. This is where it began, she said, remembering the first night, the wrong jet, the right eyes, the life she hadn't meant to fall into. He smiled, and it's where it restarts. They drove through the city, windows down, no convoy behind. The river shimmered under bridges, reflecting a city that never stopped spinning but sometimes learned to slow. He parked near the waterfront, where the skyline's lights turned the water silver. You ever miss the hospital? He asked. Every day, she said. But I don't miss being invisible. He nodded. Then don't disappear again. She looked at him. Promise me something. Anything. No more wars. He thought about it, then nodded once. No more wars, just protection, and maybe some quiet nights. Quiet nights, she repeated, smiling. I'll hold you to that. Please do. They walked along the pier, his hand resting at the small of her back. The city hummed, alive but softer now. She stopped at the edge and turned to him. When we met, I boarded your jet by mistake, she said. I thought I was saving someone. Turns out, I was being saved. He brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. We both were. Her eyes shone. So what now, Mr. Conti? He smiled, the kind that carried every sin, scar, and soft thing he'd ever tried to hide. Now, Ms. Moore, we live, and we let no one tell our story for us. He kissed her there, under the slow rise of city lights and seagulls cutting through gold air. No bodyguards, no guns, no orders. Just a man who'd spent his life building walls and the woman who'd taught him how to open a door. The water lapped quietly at the pier. The city exhaled. And the last thing Luna remembered before the night folded around them was Mario whispering against her hair, I never believed in peace. Until you. She smiled into his chest, breathing him in, the scent of coffee, cedar, and the impossible becoming real. For the first time, both of them knew the war was over, and what came next was life. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.